Business dinners can be a challenge for the most experienced worker, but for a young person just starting off, they can be daunting. That's why Fairfield University's Dolan School of Business holds a mock business dinner every year in order to teach students the interpersonal and social skills that they will need in their professional life. Joining us right now is Fairfield University senior who has gone through the program. Erin Chan is also the CEO of the Fairfield University Investment Group. And congratulations, you got a graduation coming up this next year, right?
I'm excited, very excited.
All right, tell me a little bit about the idea behind this dinner, because you participated 2 years ago and you've continued to follow through and watch as younger students go through the same process. Tell me a little bit about it.
Well, basically, it's a dinner to get students, to come out and to, I guess, get aware of what what is required when you're in a professional setting, what's accepted, what's not accepted, and basically how they should comport themselves while they're out there.
Yeah, because it's a fairly big group, right? There's about 90 of you that attend this, and you're kind of put through your paces. Let's talk about some of the things that come up. The first is introducing yourself to people that you are meeting at this dinner for the first time. What were you taught about that?
Well, one of the first things that she told us, or Anne-Marie Sabat taught us at
which is the coach that really kind of walks you all through this.
Exactly. The first thing was about name tags, and one of the big mistakes that students make when they go to a career fair or they're meeting other professionals is that they'll usually put the name tag on their breast pocket, and that's actually the worst place to put it, because when you go and shake hands with somebody, you don't want to divert their eyes somewhere else. So the best place to put it is actually right here on the right side. So when you go shake hands, it's right in that view. So you don't have to, search around and look for the name if you don't know the person's name. That's
a very good tip. I didn't know that. Okay, so the right side, probably up a little bit higher, depending if you're a woman, you have longer hair, you don't want your hair to block it.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
But you want it. You don't want a person, and I think people even in a non-professional setting, let's say for example they're going to a meeting with a school function or whatever, you don't want to look down at that badge, but at the same time you do want to be able to pick up the person's name.
Absolutely.
All right, tell me a little bit about what they taught you with regard to conversation. Well, because in college you can pretty much say whatever you want, do whatever you want, but when you get into a professional setting like that, conversations can be tricky.
Well, as you can imagine, conversations in college, they're on the virtual, it's virtual reality, so people are talking online and talking over text. But when you're in a professional setting and when you're speaking with somebody, obviously you want to maintain good eye contact. You want to keep a respectable distance. Usually it's about 2 feet away from the person, so it's comfortable. Depending on how well you know the person, obviously, you don't want to touch too much, so you don't want too much tactile engagement there. But you want to be engaged in the conversation. You want to have good eye contact, and you want to be an active listener in the conversation.
That's a very good point, especially for a young person. Did the conversation turn to as the fact that you are very young, and you all are very bright at Fairfield University, but you don't have the experience, knowing how important it is to listen in a conversation, especially with your people who are more senior in a working environment.
Yes, and that's why listening skills are crucial, and it's also a big part of being able to handle yourself in a conversation with a professional or someone who's senior to you, because most of the time, if you're asking for advice and you don't look engaged and you're not really listening, then the person will feel like they wasted their time with you.
All right, what about the topic of drinking?
Oh, well, being in college, that's it's obviously very common. But when you're in a professional setting, you really want to limit your intake, or not drink at all if you're not legal. In some instances, wine will be there, but drink in moderation. Drink, obviously not to excess. But,
and that even holds true to they probably even talked about the Christmas party or the holiday party or those kinds of events. Watching your language, and I don't mean using bad words, but but language like yeah and like and What were you taught on that?
Well, if you don't have anything to say, don't say it. In the sense that don't try and fill the gaps. If you don't have something to say, then just listen, or think twice or think 3 times before what you say, because it's not really a crime to speak slowly or to think about what you want to say before. The conversation goes at its own pace, but don't fill in those gaps with like or because it just makes the conversation awkward.
And what was the conversation that you had at this dinner, or what were you taught at this dinner about cell phones and texting?
Well, cell phones definitely have to be off. And if they're not off, at least on vibrate or silent, because they can be a big distraction if you're speaking to someone. And say if you're getting really good nuggets of knowledge and your cell phone goes off, that's a distraction not only to you, but to the person who's delivering the knowledge to you or delivering the advice to you. And in fact, it's disrespectful. So they definitely have to be off or on silent.
One tip about emailing the right way to get your message across?
Yes, you want to be succinct, obviously. You want to address a person in the right way. So Mr. or Mrs. So-and-so. And just be to the point, be polite, and cap it off with a thank you and hopefully some kind of follow-up.
It sounds like you got an A+ in the class, Aaron.
we didn't get graded, but the dinner was good.
Okay, good. You got some good food.
Yeah.
Aaron, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
From Fairfield University's Dolan School of Business. And that's all for this week. We'll see you next week on 12 of the Money. I'm Rebecca Surran.